I never grew up with educators that looked like myself. I always knew that wisdom was a powerful tool, but I also know that oftentimes we neglect it because of who it comes from.
Facts.
It's not necessarily just about being a king, it's more so about becoming a kingmaker.
Man, you got to be close enough to relate, but far enough ahead to inspire. What's going on, beautiful people, family? We are back with another edition of the Let's Grow Together podcast. This is the place where diverse individuals and communities come to serve, connect, and grow in the areas that they're most passionate about. It's your boy James, and I am joined with my brother Marcus. How you doing, brother?
What's up, family? Another beautiful day to make impact, man. I'm phenomenal. I'm phenomenal. How about yourself, man? How'd you enjoy Juneteenth?
Oh man, Juneteenth was beautiful, man. Of course, man, didn't do much. Of course, I wanted to enjoy our freedom. So I just kind of really kicked back at the crib. Me and wifey, we found this show. We pretty much binged the show the entire weekend. We ordered in. It was really a relaxing day. So we put somebody to work, but it wasn't us.
I feel it. I feel it, man. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Very similar, man. Just kick my feet back. We didn't do too much. We went and grabbed something to eat, kick back, and really just loved on each other, man. Avery
Yeah,
asked, "Hey, why do we have the day off?" And used the time to do a little bit of a history lesson. Leverage
yeah.
YouTube, a few documentaries, kind of coach her up and give her a little bit of game as well, too, man. So it's a beautiful learning moment for everybody.
That's real good, man. I love that, man. Shout out to Avery for always asking the inquisitive questions.
That she does. That she does.
For sure, man. But let's grow together, family. As we have the new tradition, we want to go ahead and introduce our quote of the day, and I think this one is gonna really move the needle, and really, it's gonna be thought provoking. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the quote for today, it says, "Adversity introduces a person to themselves." Yeah,
That's good.
adversity introduces a person to themselves. So Marcus, man, how did you receive that quote? What comes to mind?
Ironically, bro, I thought about getting jumped. It sounds crazy, right? But I
Yeah,
feel like when your back is to the wall, like that's when you really see what you're made out of. And that was a great position. A great, not even a great scenario, but a very reflective scenario to be within as well. To say, hey, well, I would do this and that if I was in that situation, but you
yeah,
don't really know what you're gonna do until you in that situation. But
that's
it's
real.
life at the end of the day, right? We talk about peaks, we talk about valleys, rolling with the punches, and really at the end of the day it's easy to say what you would do until you're in a position and now you have to do it.
Yeah,
It's fight or flight, right? What about yourself?
man, I think of because I've been getting into boxing a little bit. We've been doing some training.
Okay.
Shout out to my guy Ali. But the thing that comes to mind is like everybody think they bad and can fight until they get hit in the mouth. And
I'm
like
telling you.
for me, I just think of adversity as that punch in the face that's like, all right, you thought you were tough. Now let's see how tough you really are. Are you really
Mhm.
gonna get back up and continue to fight, or are you gonna, give in and get knocked out? So I just kind of think of adversity as that thing that is in the way of the thing that you want, right?
Mm.
So in terms of boxing, I got hit in the face. All right, I'm gonna put my dukes back up and I'm gonna get to it because I want to win this fight. But this applies to anything in life. Adversity is gonna present itself to give you an opportunity to grow. So I love
Definitely.
this quote.
Being able to maneuver in the midst of unpredictability. Again, I can kind of relate. It's crazy how all these are violent things we think of, but it's spot on, right? So I
Yeah,
think about like when I got my first college football hit, like I thought I was that guy until I realized everybody on the team who got recruited was that guy.
yeah,
And I got clotheslined by a middle linebacker and was spitting out blood for 20 minutes. And all I was saying to myself is, yo, they different.
yeah.
Everybody hit different. Everybody on a different playing field. But nah, I love that. That's vital. And sometimes you got to get hit in the mouth to really take time to reflect and see like where you are and how you can maneuver through the situation. So
That's
I
real,
call it
brother.
being shell shocked. Yeah.
That's real. I would say adversity is the greatest equalizer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I like
Yeah, man. But man, I would love to get our guests' opinion on this quote as well. So we're gonna go ahead and bring them on. D Wiggs, what is your perspective on this quote?
It's funny, y'all stole the words right out of my mouth, right? Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face, right? So
Yeah,
that was my
it.
initial thought, but I guess a different tangent, just more so just reflecting on life in general. most times you really don't know what type of person you're going to be until your back is actually against the wall, right?
Yes.
And you go through those, I wouldn't necessarily say traumatic experiences, but just those situations that weren't planned in life. I feel like that's the best test for you. And if you for it, if you always prepared, you will be in a good position to overcome it.
That's real. I
That's
was just
valid.
yeah, for real, facts. Man, I was just speaking on a panel at Roosevelt, and I told them, I was like, I think of like how you say everybody has a plan until something happens, and I said one of the panelists had made a connection, and he was like, luck is preparedness meets opportunity, and I was like, I give it to you a different way. I was like, if you have not prepared yourself for the opportunity, when the opportunity presents itself and you go after it, you're gonna make yourself look like a fool trying to go after the opportunity because you're not ready for it. So I also think of adversity as the stepping stone. That's like, all right, am I preparing myself for this thing that I want? Like, because again, adversity isn't always bad. Marcus, we talk about it all the time. Adversity is the seed of equal or greater benefit. So if you can look at those things that happen in your life that are bad, quote unquote, and use that to as a seed to grow something else, like, bro, it's endless.
100%, 100%. That's spot on. And again, like if you don't have any test trials, you don't really have a testimony to be able to speak
Yes,
to at the
sir.
end of the day.
Yes, sir.
Can't nobody, can't nobody accomplish anything without having to jump a few hurdles. You feel me? So,
That's real.
nah, spot on, spot on.
Man, but Darion, man, go ahead and tell our Let's Grow Together family a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I can. Well, first of all, fellas, thanks again for having me on today. I'm really excited for the
Of
opportunity.
course.
But I guess a little bit about me. So my name is Darion. I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago. I got to meet James a couple weeks ago at a networking event where I was a guest speaker, just pretty much just explaining to small business owners about taxes, right? So I guess a little bit about me from the south suburbs. Like I said, I graduated from college about 3 or 4 years ago with my master's degree in accountancy and a bachelor's degree in a concentration in real estate. Started off
Okay.
working in corporate America right out of school and thought I made my dream life, right? Being, south suburbs ain't always the best place coming up, but for me to be able to land that opportunity, I thought I made it. But quickly into my corporate experience, quickly into, being an adult, I realized like this not it. This doesn't align with my
Yeah.
long-term goals. So I spent the last 2 years just trying to figure it out. And today I'm the CEO and founder of Wiggs CPA Tax and Accounting, where our main priority is just really just focusing on working with small businesses, and to narrow it down, focusing on working with minorities too as well, to teach people about financial literacy, teach people about taxes, and most importantly, just help people be able to serve others without having to stress about the financial aspect of their business. So that's me on the business side. But outside of that, man, I'm just an outgoing person, just trying to figure out life like the rest of us. So when I started listening to your podcast and hearing things, I thought this would be a great opportunity to just kind of bring us some of my perspectives about my life and where I'm from and kind of see what I can bring to the table. But it's a little bit about me, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, appreciate you being on sincerely, man. Well, I want to kind of pick your brain because it's interesting. I think yourself, James, and I all have a unique perspective when it comes to graduating corporate America is the route to go. We're
Yeah.
charged up, Everybody like, oh, you succeeded, you did it, and then we get there, and we like, this ain't really it, right? I love to learn a little bit more about your personal experience with that, and right, what career path did you traditionally choose within corporate America, and then what specific moment came where you were like, this ain't it. There's more to it, right?
No, that's a good one. Yeah. So I guess my moment was just one, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I chose accounting because I was like, let's just learn about money. I come up from, neighborhoods that necessarily money isn't in abundance, right? So my goal is like the best way to learn about money is to work with money and to work with small business owners or these larger corporations. And I felt like that would accelerate the process. Fast forward 3 interns in, junior year into college, I was like, yeah, I don't like this. But I was in too deep. I was already on track to becoming a CPA. I already was a junior, but that was the first time I got to study abroad in Barcelona where life just slowed down for me. And that was the first time in my life I was like, I really just want to teach. I really want to put myself in a position where I can have a direct impact on my community, where I can be that black man in those classrooms, teaching kids about credit, financing, budget, mortgages, etc. So when I started corporate America, it was fun at first, right? But I started during the pandemic, and what really triggered it is one, I wasn't happy with what I was doing, right? It didn't align with my long-term goals. And then with the pandemic, right, seeing a bunch of people die in their early 50s, late 40s, people that I've seen been slaves to the corporate system, right? Their entire lives doing everything, building a 401k plans, going to work, doing X, Y, and Z, everything they needed to do. just to die at 50, right? And I was like, that can't be me. I would not live the next 20, 30 years, the next 5 years, spending 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week doing something that I don't enjoy doing. So that was the first kind of wake up moment for me during the pandemic where I was like, I got to figure this out. So instead of waiting there, sitting there, I left and I figured it out afterwards. So that's kind of my backstory on that part.
Man, that's crazy. Cause so like, what was like? Tell us a little bit more like detail about the transition though. Like because I hear you say you had like this moment when you were in Barcelona, but like, how did you make the decision to say, all right, I identified that I don't like this role. I'm not being fulfilled. I got to do something else. Like, what happened from decision to actually leaving the job? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, I guess for me, I was listening to a podcast, and I'll tell this story until I die. And my mentor was same background, same school, went to U of I, started Big Four accounting too as well. And he was just talking about how he was making 100K a month, and he was just talking about all these incredible things he was doing, this X, Y, Z. And I was like, we went to the same school, we got the
Yeah.
same background. Like, what the hell? What did I miss?
Yeah.
So I finally got to sit down with him and talk to him, and he just broke it down to me. And I was like, oh, that's it. I'm gonna do it. I didn't know right away because being an entrepreneur and starting my own business, first of all, was never part of the plan. I was gonna do Teach for America, which I don't know if y'all know too much about it, but
Mm-hmm.
it lets you teach in underrepresented communities for 2 years. But I couldn't do that because of the pandemic. So I was like, I'm just gonna get a basic payroll job until I figure it out. But luckily, I was fortunate enough to work at a smaller tax firm. Shout out to Badu Tax Services, and I worked there
Mm.
essentially for a year just to kind of get my feet wet to figure out, okay, can I do this? And then a couple months into that, I was like, yeah, this feels right. This feels like something I can scale down and apply it directly to, my home, my family, my friends, my community. And that was kind of like part of the action plan. But for me, I didn't know what I was going to do after corporate America, but I knew that being a CPA, having a master's degree, and the value that I can add to the workplace, that worst case scenario, this don't work out and I got to go back into corporate America making six figures somewhere. That was my worst case
Yeah.
scenario. So I was willing to just risk it all on myself. And here we are today.
Yeah. Yo, Marcus, I know you got something, but I wanna like highlight something he said. I want the listeners to really hear this. Darion talked about seeing this homie that went to the same school, had the same background, had the same opportunities that he had, but he was wondering like what's different. And it takes a certain level of self-awareness to say like, all right, like we not too much different. Like what does it take for me to get to that next level? And I want to give you your flowers to having the humility to say, all right, let me reach out and ask this person, like, how
Yes.
did you do it? Because a lot of times, like, we will see people, like, maybe we went to the same high school, but we weren't friends, right? And they're advancing in their career, they're doing things, they're making it happen. And we're like, how are they doing it? Like, man, I'm gonna reach out. But nah, we didn't run in the same clique, so they didn't reach out. And I commend you for doing that. And you mentioned Badu Tax Services. Shout out to Eugene Marshall, because he's actually, I think he worked with them a little bit too. And he talked to, yeah, man. Yeah. As soon as you said it, my light bulb went off. But shout out to Eugene, man. He real solid brother, and he talks about how going through, working with that tax service, really helped him get on his way as well with Magnolia. So shout out to y'all. But Marcus, you got it, because I know you had a dope question or a follow
No,
up.
that's it. So one, you talked about worst case scenario is still six figures. So you still positioned yourself beautifully.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a blessing to be a backup plan, right? Two, I love how if it wasn't organic, if it didn't feel real for you, you pivoted. Even in the midst of the abundance and everything that we think of from a culture and society standpoint, is success. The
Right.
real genuine success is waking up and doing what you love and it not feeling like work. So I commend you for still being able to pivot in the midst of what, again, we would call success, right? It wasn't for you and you were able to take note of that. Another thing I'm really fond of. So my background is working with ADP, being a business consultant, connecting with the bankers, CPAs, all that good stuff, bookkeepers. And bro, all the CPAs I work with were boring as hell, like bland. Like they don't really have personality. So like hearing you engaging with you, seeing you, I'm like, bro, like this is the dopest CPA I've ever met. Like I haven't met anybody who has personality and is bubbly, but still loves dabbling in the numbers, right? So I would just ask, right? How do you consider yourself like how do you deviate yourself from the rest of the CPAs? Again, in the firm that you trained in from a development standpoint, but also just across the spectrum. Because again, most CPAs are familiar with other CPAs kind of locally and things of that nature. So I guess my big question to you is, yeah, like what is the deviation and what are some core values that you continue to hold on to ensure that you are different than the others?
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Well, first, I left corporate America and I started my own business, not because of money. It was because of time, right? I feel like as a man and just in general, the most important asset I have, especially being young, right? All of us is to be in control of your time. So that's the number one priority. But as far as being different, well, first of all, like I went to the number two accounting program in the nation, U of I. And I kid you not, even with CPAs, I don't know how the exact number, but only 2% of us are even black, right?
Yeah.
So you got 2% of us black. And if you want to narrow that down a little bit smaller, I'm pretty sure a smaller percentage of us are even from Illinois, right? And what I bring to the table, I just got so many different life experiences where I don't fall into that bucket necessarily, right? One, I didn't grow up in a traditional CPA crib, right? Most of those folks who are CPAs grew up probably, somewhere up north, had a nice family, nice home. I had a nice family, nice home too. But what I'm getting at is just my background and just my perspective on life kind of helps me stand out in a sense. And just knowing that I don't have to stay within the box, right? Perks having your own business, perks of just thinking the way I think. You in full control. That's how I feel about it. But to answer your question in terms of core values, like I said, I value time, right? Honesty, right? And customer service is my number one priority because the people I work with, especially when you start your business early on, you're working with sensitive information. I'm speaking with friends and family of friends, etc. Like I'm treating them like that's my mom, like that's my aunt, like that's my brother, right? So I like to keep things small, run a small business. I'm going to keep it small, but that's the number one thing there is customer service. Like you said, a lot of CPAs and just accountants in general don't really have a personality outside of that, right? But the perks of being in this position where I'm at, and the reason why I left corporate America is because I didn't feel like I could be myself in that environment. Now I could be on the phone, Zoom call, joke around. I ain't gonna show up with a t-shirt, but I could if I wanted to. But like I
Yeah.
could be myself. So I think that's one of the pros of being, where I'm at now.
That's real, man. One of my reasons for like becoming an entrepreneur, well, and I'm a little bit different because I've always known I would be an entrepreneur in some capacity, but I didn't know what it would look like. But just like you said, like I value my freedom so much, freedom of my time, freedom of my movement, freedom of my like expression. You know what I mean? And so that's why I wanted to become an entrepreneur, but something that you said again, I really want to like dive a little bit deeper into this. You was like, hey, some people grew up north, they had really nice families, you had really nice cribs. So I want to ask you, like, I know you said you got into accounting because you're like, all right, I want to understand numbers so I can make money and all this. But like, how did your family and your home dynamic influence that? Like, did you talk about money at the table? Like how was financial literacy and how was money handled in your household growing up?
Yeah, now we talked about money every single day.
Okay,
And
that's
then I
good.
woke up and realized that we didn't. No, we didn't talk about money every single day. I guess for me, I think my biggest thing is that money wasn't talked about at all necessarily. Like I knew we were struggling, right? You as a kid, especially like for me, I guess backstory on me is that I've moved probably over 16 times in my childhood. I've been to over 13 different schools. So it was a period in my life where I moved from second grade to seventh grade, probably two times a school year, right? One year I'm in Illinois for the first semester. I'm in Minnesota the next semester. I'm in Indiana next semester. And people ask, "Oh, is your family in the military?" I'm like, "No, my mom just had my first sibling at 15, and she had to grow up and raise all of us as a CNA, making less than $10 an hour, right? So there were times when the lights was off, the gas was off, etc. So we didn't talk about money necessarily, but we knew it was a missing component somewhere there, right? So for me, that's why I was thinking about accounting in the sense where that kind of I was hoping that'd be my ticket out, right? I was very fortunate enough to be a good student. Despite me going to all those schools, I was always the most involved. I always had very good grades to the point where I got a full ride scholarship. Shout out to the Gates Millennium Foundation, where I was able to go to any school in the nation for free. So I felt that was my ticket out. And I'm like, accountant, this has to be the way out. So I don't know if that answers your question necessarily, but we didn't talk about
No.
money. I didn't grow up in that same area, but because like coming from those areas I went to, right? And then also being able to go to 13 different countries, going to one of the PWIs, U of I, and being able to get all of that exposure. That's why all of those experiences together just kind of just rewired my brain in a sense, which is why I kind of think differently at times.
Yeah, nah, you answered the question. You did it. You got it.
That sounds like James, kind of hearing like the moving around, the maneuvering consistently. What I hear is adaptability, though, bro. I hear that you can walk in any room, engage with any and everybody, and again, you're gonna be comfortable in your skin. So I love that. I think that's a superpower, in all honesty. And oftentimes, in the midst of it, it don't feel like we're being equipped with a superpower. It's like, why me, right? But after the fact, we see the fruits of the labor and things of that nature. One another thing that I really heard you speak to is mom, right? Seeing mom struggle, seeing mom grind, seeing things of that nature. So I think this again, from kind of hearing you just analyze, I think that really put a batter in your back, bro. Because again, you seem to be charged up like a man on a mission. But I want to ask again. I have a daughter. I'm not sure. Do you have kids by chance?
Nah, not yet.
Okay. So my question to you is, the way that you grew up, seeing the different nuances, the different things that you all had to battle through, how has that mentally prepped you for when you do have kids, right? To now be able to have that conversation, to teach that financial literacy that much earlier and equip them with things that you might not have been in those early stages of your life.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I mean, that's the starting a family and being able to be in a position to have those conversations. I look forward to it. The first thing I do when I wake up Monday through Friday, I meditate, and I end my meditation at 5 minutes every time, envisioning the family, the conversations, the kids, because I'm looking forward to that part. So I guess what was the main part of that question? You were saying like, well, how am I positioning myself to do it? Is that what you were
Yeah,
getting at?
essentially, how are you positioning yourself, or what type of strategies are you kind of putting in place so when those kids do come here, you can educate them. You're having those conversations that you might not have had in your early childhood.
Exactly. And that's okay. Yep. That's what I was getting at. So the way I look at it, everything I do today is for them. Like I said, I meditate, I journal, and my journal every day is a diary to them, essentially, right? Talking to them about my struggles and what I'm going through and my vision for them, etc. But I feel like being in this position where I'm at now, my business is growing extremely fast. I plan on taking the next 2 to 3 years, moving out of Illinois to just focus on scaling and grow that business. So when it's time for me to get a wife, have those kids, I will be present, right? My business will be able to operate without me. So when it's time to have those conversations, I'm there. When it's time to take those trips, I'm there. When it's time to do a Juneteenth history channel, go to YouTube and like I want to be fully present, like growing up too, and not to take it there, like not with a father figure in your life 24/7. I feel like not only am I charged up to like be the provider for my family, but I'm also charged up to be the dad of the decade, right? So everything I do
Yes.
today is to align me to be in that position because I really want to have those conversations. But I also realize, and y'all probably realize this too, like when you don't grow up with much, and then you grow up and you start being able to give your kids everything, like it's kind of that fine line with trying not to
Yeah.
spoil them. So I'm trying to figure out how to give them that realistic experience at the same time, but we'll figure that out when we get there. But like I say, everything I do today is for them, and I'm very intentional about everything I do from now until then, so I can be in the best position to be present for them.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you have a baby girl, she gonna have you wrapped around your finger. Don't fight it. Don't fight
Look, look,
it.
my brother got two of them. I already know how it is.
That's funny. That's real good, man. Let's kind of talk a little bit more about your business because I know you mentioned it a little bit, but could you please give our listeners like an overview of like services you offer and the specific benefits that you offer these small and medium sized businesses that you work with?
Yep. So yeah, Wiggs CPA Tax and Accounting. We was launched in October of 2022. So we at the 20-month mark right now. And starting off, we just did tax preparation for small business owners and just everybody in general. But now we're pivoting is only working with service-based businesses. So if you're a self-employed professional, you're a contractor, and you provide a service to the community, what we do is not only do we help you just prep your taxes, we do proactive tax planning services throughout the year. Because I realized I didn't get taught about a lot of the little things that small business owners need to do as a CPA, right? And I'm a CPA. So I had to come to the realization that a lot of small business owners really they can do it, but they don't have the time to be sitting down there doing payroll, bookkeeping, tax prep, tax planning. It's time consuming, right? So we've structured our business to essentially work with a small group of business owners, right? We help prep your taxes and then we help you save taxes. We help you save time by pretty much coming in and acting like an alternative staff and doing your bookkeeping, payroll, tax prep, and tax planning. And we also help you stay compliant. So we just essentially your CPA on call. We take care of all the financial aspects of your business so you can just focus on what you actually enjoy doing, which is scaling and growing your business. So we want to keep things small because a lot of times with these service-based businesses, you grow too big and you can't really give your customers and your clients the services that they need, right? So I actually pride on keeping things small. We only accept about 10 to 15 people, and that's who we focus on throughout the year. So that's what we do in a nutshell, but just to kind of think of it as a one-stop service for small business owners, and we do everything from the financial aspect.
No, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It sounds like a one-stop shop, right?
Yeah.
And for business owners, I'm a huge advocate of outsourcing these components. I had to realize, like, I'm great at what I do, but what I'm not great at is this specific component, right? The keeping the receipts, the all that. So I have my bookkeeper I've been working with for years, and literally, as soon as I make a purchase, I got 2 receipts waiting to send to her following this, right? I'm snapping it, I'm sending it over, and it's out of my control, it's out of my mind, right? I'm not thinking about it. And oftentimes, those individuals who try to keep it in house, it's more on their plate. They're just overstrained, they're overburdened. And again, if you're so focused on this area, something else is being missed out on. So again, I just want to stress, like, it is vital for small business owners to be able to learn what you can manage and then disseminate and outsource the other components. It is very important, imperative, because so oftentimes, like, this is our baby. We want to control every single element, right?
Facts.
That can be problematic at times, right? There's certain components when you have great resource to lean on, you need to be able to outsource. You need to be able to bring other people and put other hands specifically in that pot for that specific area of focus that they have. So again, that's huge. And I guess I got a question for you. Like, for brand new, do you work with a lot of brand new business owners as well by chance, Mr. Wiggs?
Yeah, I think right now in the phase we're at, it's mostly brand new business owners, and we kind of niche down with the folks making between 6 to 7 figures, like in that range, just so we can make sure that you have that foundation. So when you start bringing in those millions, those billions, like you got a good edge. Like I said, my goal is to teach, right? So I break it down. My first call with you is going to be a tax 101. I'm gonna break everything down to you, and I'm gonna hold your hand throughout the entire process as we implement things. So I work with new business owners, and I just help get them the training wheels. And when they're ready to take them off, they all good to go. We can
Cool.
grow
So you
together.
So yeah, there you go. I like how you did that. But I see you talking about the training reels, and you're really hands on as well. That again, being able to take a small book of business is going to allow you to really be hands on and build that genuine relationship. Most individuals want the hugest book of business because it equals the greatest funds, right? That's not your intention, and I love that. But I would ask you, what is the biggest learning curve that you see with these new business owners that you're having to take a lot of time to really educate them on as well?
Yeah, I think the biggest learning curve is just a mindset shift, right? Because when you think about taxes, you think about, oh, tax is the big bad wolf, right? It's IRS, Uncle Sam, it's all negative for the most part, right? But the moment you realize that, yes, the tax code is 70,000 plus pages, but it's 70,000 plus pages of teaching you how to legally avoid taxes. You see, the wealthy folks don't pay taxes because they understand that the tax code is their friend, right? So a lot of times we go from being a W-2 employee, we make that shift to a business owner. We don't even realize that there's a difference, right? So the learning curve that I see is that small business owners want to start the business, but they forget that the financial aspect, the bookkeeping, right, the payroll, the tax prep, but most importantly, the tax planning. That's the most important part. And because new business owners are trying to save money, right, and kind of push that back to April, not being able to pay taxes or keep track of your finances become one of the biggest headaches for small business owners. And I see it each and every single year now.
So for our listeners, like, are you like retainer based? Like, what type of packages do you offer?
Yep. So we do a retainer. So like during tax time, we can help prep your taxes. But 9 times out of 10, you're a small business owner with no bookkeeping. We're gonna have to clean your books up too.
Yeah.
But moving forward, starting next month in July, we're opening doors back up and accepting about 3 to 5 more clients. And it's literally just a monthly retainer, or you can pay in full for the year. But the thought is, you pay one fixed fee every single month, and it covers everything, right? And when you do the math, you look at it, okay, I'm hiring a bookkeeper at $20 an hour. I'm hiring somebody to do payroll, or you're doing it yourself. And I like to break it down like, yes, you can do it, but you think about the time that you spending on it, right? And then you're missing out on money doing what you actually can be doing for your business. So, but yeah, to answer your question, we do retainer packages, and it just makes life easier for everybody.
Gotcha.
And you only take Chicago or Illinois-based clients, is that correct?
All over the country. That's perks of being a CPA. So the bulk of my clients, my core signature clients, are in Texas, California, DC, Illinois, and Minnesota. So I'm spread it out. I go to networking events all over the country every single month for that reason.
Beautiful. Nah, I like it. I like it. I like how intentional you are just as far as positioning yourself, but also just the relatability. I think that's the biggest thing that deviates you from my experience. And again, just working with ADP, working with CPAs who average 50 and up. I ain't really seen too many young faces who are really on the scene that can actually have a personal conversation with you, right? Anytime I'm coming to these older CPAs, I'm talking straight numbers. I'm giving you
Yeah.
the facts, I'm getting up out of there. It ain't no kumbaya, we ain't kicking it, we ain't vibing. I can't talk about the latest seen on the news with you, any of that good stuff at all. And 9 out of 10 times, none of the CPAs look like myself as well.
Yeah.
So again, I heard you kind of talk about like that 2%. Did that inspire you to continue to pursue that specific arena as well too, knowing that you were the minority?
Uh, I would say it added fuel to the tank. I think once you go to like certain school, especially U of I fences, being one of two or three black people in the class with 50 to 100 people, you kind of get used to it.
Yep.
And then you get into the real world and you start realizing like basically what you just said, right? Most people, they're already in their 50s, or most people can't even have a conversation a lot of times because your CPA can't even relate to you, right? So that comes down to it. So for me, I'm like, you know what? There's not that many black CPAs. Well, let me take advantage of this, right? So when it's time to talk about your personal finances, your goals, building wealth via trust, real estate, etc., I can talk to you, meeting you at the level that you had already, right? And we can
Yeah.
keep the conversation 100% real. So that inspired me to keep going. And then now that I'm doing it full time and I'm being able to work with people from all over the country as a young entrepreneur too, I'm really to start to see that the value that I can add, not only just to everybody I work with, but most importantly to our community. And for me, that means a lot, especially with everything that's going on and with entrepreneurship being a hot topic and just wealth building in general. Like it makes me feel, special in a way to be able to say I can play a part in this versus me working in corporate America and I'm working on some billionaires' books. And what I'm doing probably ain't gonna help them at all. But
Yeah.
I'm here for time, right? Time is important to me, but also impact. So I feel like being a black CPA, especially in this country, and especially during the pandemic with everything going on, it was a great opportunity and it's super rewarding for me. So I actually love what I do, which I never thought in my life I would say it, but I enjoy my work.
Man, that is phenomenal, man. It is such a pleasure to get to do what you love to do. And I don't even think what you love to do is the accounting piece. I think it's the people. You talked about teaching. I think teaching is the thing that brings you the most joy. And then as an educator myself, there is no greater joy for you to give your student, mentee, etc., some information. They use it and they get the result that they wanted.
Yep.
Like there is no better feeling. But I want to pivot a bit because you mentioned something when you were just talking. You talked about like trust and establishing and setting up trust. You also mentioned we connected at a networking event, which was I think it was called Cash Chronicles, and shout out to Irons Work because they put that on. But during that session, you talked about the 5 accounts that everyone should have. Give us those 5 accounts and tell us why it's so important to have those different accounts set up.
Okay. Yep. And I'm just gonna narrow it down to 3. Start
Gotcha.
saying 5, people start getting confused and
Yeah.
overwhelmed. So the most important ones, right? And this is a starter kit. What I was leaning towards that day is right. The main account you need, no matter what, we all know you need your main, checking account for your business. That's your income account. That's where all the money is going to flow in and out, right? Then you need your expense account. That's where all your expenses should be going in and out, or just a business credit card so you can get, cash back rewards and so you can build credit for your business. But most importantly, so you can have an additional paper trail for your expenses outside of those, having the bank statements and the receipts. And the last one, what I was trying to alleviating towards, just putting heavy emphasis on, was that tax account. See, a lot of people skip that because a lot of people don't want to pay taxes at all.
Yeah.
But then they forget that as your business grows and as you start, reaching different tax brackets, or you want to apply for a mortgage to get a rental property or a loan, etc., you need to show income. And if you need to show income, you got to pay to play, right? You have to pay taxes, right? So I feel like a lot of times, a lot of people even tax people by themselves, right? I never pay taxes. You're not gonna pay. That's cap for the most part, right? I just dropped about 5K in taxes today. Why? Because I need to show income for that. But it wasn't a problem for me because I saved for taxes. So I was telling them during that presentation was that every time you get paid, especially as an entrepreneur, we need to get in the habit of putting 25% of your income up to a separate account for taxes, right? So not to get too much on that account, but those are the main 3: income, expense, and then tax account. And I was referring to a book called Profit First, where it kind of goes a little bit more in depth about some additional accounts you need, like a profit account, right? Sometimes as entrepreneurs and business owners, we forget to pay ourselves, right? You got these CEOs all over the country paying themselves a profit. Why shouldn't you? So one account that I always kind of throw in there is just getting the habit of putting 1% of your revenue or 2% of your revenue into this separate account. So now at the end of the quarter, you can take half of that and treat yourself. Now you can go on a vacation, or now you can use that money to allocate it towards your business. But those are kind of some of the fundamental accounts that I feel like every business owner need, but at least those three. And as your business start growing, then we can start talking about additional accounts for profit savings, right? That's where I was kind of leaning towards that day.
Gotcha.
I appreciate you keeping it simplistic because
Yeah,
it can get very excessive. And again, this going back to when I was in the midst of selling payroll, that tax account, people don't think about that tax account until it's too late. And I
Yeah.
remember I had numerous business owners that had like backdated taxes like 3-4 years, bro, and they were afraid to even have conversations with some of these CPAs or get their books audited because they knew it was a wrap. But one thing that we always really stressed is, again, yes, have your normal traditional accounts. We want to have a payroll account and then also have a tax account on top of that. And one thing that I learned as well, being a sole proprietor, like you need that tax account because at the end of the day, you see that large account that has all those funds in it, and you don't think about Uncle Sam taking his right off the top as well, and now you being depleted. So going forward, again, with my First Citizens Banker, I've opened like 4, 5, 6, 7 different accounts on the same exact account because of this, right? Just to be extremely intentional. I have the tax account. My tax account has a tax account, right? Just in case I miscalculated as well. And again, now I'm very proactive to the point where I have my bookkeeper who does, the stats keeping early on and periodically throughout the year, and even does like a quarterly audit just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. But these are things that I wish I would have learned years ago, right? Yes, we're still young, we're fluent. Again, these are great things to know, but
right.
so many people in our community don't know. And now, again, Uncle Sam taking all those taxes out of your account is really not motivating you to continue to want to be an entrepreneur, right? It could deflate a lot of people's bubble. And what's the percent of like small businesses that fail? It's a large percent on average, right? So being able to sustain it year after year, like that's something to give flowers to. But at the same time, how can you continue to evolve? And I think those accounts, like that's a golden nugget, man. I hope people really hold on to that as well.
Yeah. I always say read the book called Profit First. It's like the Bible for finances for entrepreneurs, right? Because it's really going to teach you how to think differently in terms like how to structure your finances. Because it's real easy, especially like I work with a lot of realtors, right? They get the commission check and it's gone. They spend it. And then when it's time to file taxes, it's like, oh, you owe 16,000, and now I see tears because that they blew the bag already, right? So
Yep.
you making those periodic tax payments and also just saving for taxes proactively and ongoing throughout the year, like that's golden right there. But most people kind of skip that step. In the early years, it's okay slightly, but once you know, hey, I'm about to start making money, I'm about to take this full time, take this seriously. Definitely put some money up into that tax account because a lot of small businesses go out of business because of Uncle Sam.
What's the percent that you would advocate for?
So it all depends on what state you're in, but on average, I say at the bare minimum, 20-25% of your income. Because when it's all said and done, the average person owes 24% in federal
Yep.
taxes, right? Illinois, that's 5%. We're already at 29, right? Then you got self-employment tax, that's another 15.3. So when it's all said and done, sometimes it'd be somewhere between 35 and 45%. But
Sheesh.
that effective tax rate be a little bit lower, but at the bare minimum, 20%, 25%. That's why I kind of recommend, which is why I always also advocate for proactive tax planning services. Because what we do is that number is different from everybody, right? It's different from Marcus, James, me. So we sit down and we go over your financial statements with you to tell you, okay, based on your unique situation, these are the tax strategies you qualify for. This is how much you need to save for estimated taxes, and then this is how much you need to make for that payment, right? So that's when I can kind of pitch in there. That's why having like a CPA or accountant on your team is crucial because all that extra guessing and trying to figure
Yeah.
out what number to pick, we can make your life easier from that side of things.
That's real good. You mentioned Profit First. What are some other financial literacy books or just books in general that you would recommend to people that are either new entrepreneurs or just looking to improve as a person?
Let's see. I got a ton of books to the right, to the
Yeah,
left of me.
yeah.
First of all, majority of the stuff I know is literally because I started reading. When I left corporate America to start my own business, like I had to go all in on my dreams and goals. And part of that was I enrolled in YouTube University. That meant every time I was eating, I did lunch and learns at home. I did dinner and I just YouTube videos. I enrolled in Commute University. Every time I was in a car, it was a podcast. It was an audio book, etc. And I just went all in on reading. So one book that I recommend is Financial Freedom by Mark J. Kohler. Mark J. Kohler is one of my mentors of mine. He's a lawyer, also a CPA. And I feel like Financial Freedom, it will sound like a bestseller or anything, you won't see it. But this is really the book that breaks it down like, hey, you're a new entrepreneur. Let me walk you through this entire lifespan in the next 20, 30 years so we can teach you what mindset you need to have, right? How you want to incorporate your business to an S Corp, how you want to start putting your assets into trust, etc. So this is one of my favorite books. It's called Financial Freedom. Any book by Mark J. Kohler will get the job done. I'm not sure if y'all read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's one of
Of
them.
course.
But most importantly, I feel like mindset books probably would just help me stand out as a business owner, right? It's just kind of getting that mindset to switch it, but also just learning how to, be more willing to overcome adversity, but also be willing to, strengthen your mindset because it's not an easy journey, right?
Yeah,
You're going to have to
facts.
go through those ups and downs, but the moment you learn how to control your environment, your thoughts, and it puts everything together. So I can send some book recommendations over for that too as well.
That's real. Appreciate that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, at this point, we definitely want to pivot into what we would consider our growth segment. So the thought process is, what nugget, what question, what insight do you specifically have that we can pass off to our next guest? So again, we can kind of bless them with that, and again, we can continue to let's grow together. So what would that be, good brother? I'm interested to hear, what financial nugget you would have for us, or anything of that nature that we can pass on to the next.
Yeah, financial nugget for somebody. Well, I guess the biggest thing, and just in general, is to a reminder to run your own race, right?
Mm.
There's levels to everything that each and every single one of us is doing. I talked to a guy today. He's the same age as me, graduated the same time as me. He already sold his business, and he in the millions already, right?
Let's
And I had
go.
to remind myself, like, hey, bro, I get it. I'm happy for you, but like, I had to stop myself, and I took a break from work. I was like, hey, it's cool. You're running your own race. Don't compare yourself to nobody else. And as long as you be very strategic, right? A lot of people ask, how do you get where you are today? How is it going, etc. But it's because I'm very intentional. So I guess my nugget is to run your own race and to be intentional about everything you do and control your environment. I think those would be the biggest nuggets. Now, if you want a financial one, I could think of one, but those are my life nuggets right there.
Nah, that's good. That's real good. I think that was better than the financial nugget because it applies across the board. You can run your own
Definitely.
race financially, run your own race in your relationship, run your own race in your fitness. Because I think a lot of times, especially in this social media age that we live in, we see somebody in Cabo living it up that we went to high school with, and we like, dang, like hating, you know what I'm saying? Like we so envious, right? But I love the fact that you were able to work with this client, see him in the millions, and be like, salute, brother. Like I'm on my way too. You know what I'm saying? I'm running my race, so I love that, man. But as we kind of close out, where can the people find you? Where can they connect with you if they want to, book or inquire about your services, or man, if they want to just tap in with you and just have a dope conversation? Where can they tap in with you?
Yeah, I guess last comment on the social media
Yeah,
thing.
you got it. You got it.
I just my first time ever making a Instagram or a Twitter was when I started my business. So the first 25 years of my life, I've never seen it. So now that I'm on Instagram and Twitter and all, I don't know how people survive. Like every time
Yeah.
you look, somebody living their best life, somebody balling, somebody, and as somebody who's doing a lot of their finances, I'm looking like, why are we doing this? Why are we
Yeah.
making people feel smaller than what they actually are? But that was my favorite on there, that I don't think I would have been where I'm at today if I had social media the first half of my life, the first 25 years. But to answer your question, where can people find me? I am on social media now, so you can find me on Instagram at WiggsCPA.com. I try my best to post reels every quarter. I do free webinars talking about real estate, taxes, small business owners, and just updates throughout the year. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Facebook at Wiggs CPA Tax and Accounting, or Darion Wiggs. And as we was alluding to earlier, hey, I'm an open book. So anytime somebody reaches out to me with questions about finances, or just, hey, tell me about how you got your journey started, like it's enough for everybody out here, to the point where I just want to teach as many people as I can and help out and play my part. So
That's real.
Beautiful, man. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you for being a template. Thank you for being an example. Thank you for enduring and, again, being able to show the next generation that it is feasible. It is possible. You don't have to fit the standard of being the box by any means. You can be genuine within yourself. And, again, the rest will manifest if you continue the work in the grind, man. So we sincerely appreciate you and your time, good brother.
Yes,
I'm excited to connect with you in more depth, continue to build. And thank you for all the seeds you planted today, man. I hope our audience really takes it and runs with it and continues to grow from there.
All right, fellas. Thanks for the opportunity. We'll keep in touch.
Of course. Man, as we close out, Let's Grow Together family, y'all know where to find us at Let's Grow Together Pod everywhere. And you can find us everywhere you get your podcast, plus YouTube. It's another episode. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Till next time. Peace.
Trying to find me a balance in life. Why I'm still trying to gamble with life. Wanna be great, it gotta come with a price. Gotta watch what you ask for. I strive for these moments in life. I'm still learning and giving advice. I try carrying the weight of the world. See, I saw when I was losing myself. I had to catch my breath. Nobody got you like you got yourself. So it's important for you to know who you are. Cause in the dark you gotta fight with your heart. Even if your heart broken apart. But they still gon' judge me. So tell me how that's been here for me. I had to see that everybody didn't love me. Like everybody ain't for me. I took chances just to see for myself. Cause for the longest I've been hurting myself. Trying to blame someone else. I stand on it, don't regret what I did. Cause I can live that my intentions were real. My heart just needed to heal. Gotta get back to loving myself and trusting myself and better my health. Nobody loves you like you loving yourself. You gotta know who you are. Gotta get back to loving myself and trusting myself and better my health. Nobody loves you like you loving yourself.